Thank you for joining me here on the News Summary. I am Liza Chataeva. Hello. This year, the national budget deficit will increase to 3% of the GDP, as announced at the meeting of the Finance and Budget Committee of the Senate, where measures for state budget optimization for 2015 and 2017 were discussed. Given the decline of oil prices by more than 2 times, the forecast of socioeconomic development was readjusted to suit the scenario of $50 per barrel of oil in 2015 and 2017, and $60 per barrel until 2019. According to the Kazakh senators, the adjusted budget takes into account the current economic challenges. It is worth noting that the special role of the safety cushion is given to the program Joly.
Отрадно. Без изменений остаются темпы роста сельского хозяйства.
It is good to know that the agriculture tempo is growing. As for the budget, it may be noted that we have a good program, Joly. 483 billion tenge have been provided by the program for the development of the economy. It compensates the budget loss.
83 миллиарда тенге. Как бы компенсируя потери бюджета.
Meanwhile, increase of civil servant salaries has been postponed until the next year because of the budget optimization. For information, 10% increase of wages for civil servants was previously scheduled for July this year. According to the Majlis member Svetlana Ferho, the budget optimization will not affect the social obligations of the state. Social support programs targeting disadvantaged and vulnerable groups, including low-income families, the disabled, orphans, single mothers, and the elderly, will be implemented in full range.
Pension increase comprised 9% as has been planned in the budget. The amount of basic pension payments in 2014 amounted to 10,450 tenge and 11,082 tenge in 2015. The size of such state social benefits as disability pensions and survivor benefits have been increased by 7% from January 1st, 2015.
The Kazakh Ministry of Energy has introduced a temporary ban on fuel imports from Russia. This has been done to help the domestic producers. Major domestic refineries may be forced to stop their operations if the existing surplus of petroleum products imported from Russia continues.
На этот год мы согласовали, что 1 миллион 100 тысяч тонн.
This year, Kazakhstan agreed to obtain 1,100 tons of Russian gasoline and diesel fuel at the level of 760,000 tons. Due to the fact that at the beginning of the year, in the first 2 months, we have chosen a sufficiently large amount of fuel, and that, accordingly, we could choose the residue which we needed throughout the whole year in order to avoid a deficiency. We plan, therefore, to regulate the market.
Возникало дефицита. Мы таким образом будем регулировать рынок.
The ban on the import of Russian petroleum products will not lead to increase of prices for gasoline and diesel fuel. Ban on imports of petroleum products was enacted on March 5th and will last for 45 days. 1.5 million square meters of rental housing will be put into operation in Kazakhstan in the next 5 years. 29,000 people will be able to have their own apartments under the Joly program. Over 487,000 square meters of housing is expected to be commissioned this year. Tenants from Astana, Almaty, Kostanay, Kokshetau, and Semey will start moving to their new homes starting as early as March. A new public council was created to monitor the implementation of social rental housing construction. The council includes the first deputy prime minister, members of the both houses of parliament, members of the main political parties of the country, the representatives of the National Chamber of Entrepreneurs, the National Holding Baytarek, regional governors, developers, and investors. The first meeting of the board was held in Astana. According to the Deputy Prime Minister, Bakıtcan Sagentayev, the council is reviewing the approaches to the construction of rental housing.
The priority is given to flats with smaller areas. The area of one-bedroom apartments will comprise of about 33 square meters. The area of two-bedroom apartments is going to be about 45 square meters and three-bedroom apartments about 62 square meters. The average size of monthly rent of the 50 square meters flat will be 56,000 tenge.
The council members say the priority during flats distribution will be given to large families, single-parent families, families with disabled children, and civil servants. Also, 50% of rental housing will be distributed among young couples under 35 years and who have been married for at least 3 years.
It is not permitted to rent out the acquired housing to any other parties within 2 years from the date of purchase. According to the approved program of the regional development, the delivery of rental housing in the form of a sublease, property donation, or property exchange is strictly banned.
New technologies for the construction industry are being developed in Ust-Kamenogorsk, namely the steel thermal panels. A building area of about 200 square meters can be built from such material in just 2 days. Another important advantage of the structures is the low heat output. Kazakhstani products are in demand beyond the domestic markets. For example, Russia is also interested in the product.
At the moment, manufacturers of thermal panels are engaged in servicing a large order. Thin-walled plates will be used for the construction of Ust-Kamenogorsk car assembly plant. The norm of a maximum production per day is set up at 200 square meters. Directly from the conveyor, the goods are sent to the consumers in such cities as Almaty, Barnaul, Krasnoyarsk, and Vladivostok. The thickness of the steel sheets is only 200 millimeters. They weigh a little more than 100 pounds with veneer and surfacing materials included, whereas the concrete blocks weigh about 1 ton. Only local materials are being used here. For instance, the metal is produced in Karaganda, the gypsum seals in Almaty. According to specialists, the use of these structures in construction will reduce the consumption of concrete in the foundation up to 80%. Labor costs will be reduced by 70%. The oil and gas company TCO will acquire Ust-Kamenogorsk's thermal panels as well. The amount of transaction will total 2.5 billion tenge. The company's management plans to invest a part of the earnings in the modernization.
Сейчас мы находимся в цехах, которые нам еще предстоит восстановить.
We are now in the workshops which will have to restore in accordance with our investment program. This requires an investment of $30 to $35 million. The production complex for 300 jobs will be created instead of the current workshops.
Очень высокопроизводительный, создаст порядка 300 рабочих мест.
The East Kazakhstan continues to expand cross-border cooperation with Russia and Belarus. Regional authorities help local producers to search for new partners and customers for high-quality expansion of markets.
В ближайшее время мы встречаемся с предприятиями города Томска.
In the near future, we will meet with enterprises from Tomsk, the Chamber of Commerce, and with a number of companies that will come from there to work out further questions. Today, there are 250 joint ventures that operate in the area. Their import volumes reach 800 tons and the turnover exceeds $200 million.
A cotton yarn factory has resumed operation after 3 years of inactivity in Shymkent. A group of Atyrau holding companies helped restart the production and provide jobs for the locals. Now the factory is provided with the necessary raw materials that total almost 3,000 tons of cotton fiber. The newly launched company will produce more than 6,000 tons of yarn per year.
Today, nobody is hiding their emotions. People have been waiting to hear the sound of factories working machinery for 3 years. The production foreman, Nadezhda Kuznetsova, is excited to show how the cotton is cleaned and the working process of the carding and tape machines. I prayed for this plant to be restarted, for us to have jobs for a long time and to eventually retire from this plant. This was my dream. The company had experienced difficult times in 2008. The factory stopped production due to the lack of assets to purchase the raw material and the inability to cover the production costs. The measures to improve the health of the enterprise taken by the government have been successful. Today, we have a contract with the Chinese state corporation for the whole available stock. We are currently negotiating with German and Italian companies. This is the third restored factory in the region. Local authorities state that textile production of South Kazakhstan has started a new life. 19 projects worth more than 140 billion tenge have been involved. 8 enterprises worth 30 billion tenge have been already launched. All of them are in operation. All products will be exported at the first stage of production. Later, the yarn will be sent to domestic market.
Another Shymkent factory has manufactured its 5,000th groundwater pump. The factory is one of the successful projects of the program on accelerated industrial and innovative development. The pumps with the label Made in Kazakhstan are in high demand at home and beyond the country's borders.
The production foreman Denis Sinitsyn collects Jubilee samples. It has been decided to keep the underground pump for history records. Every piece of the pump was assembled by Kazakh specialists.
Для производства насоса
The most stainless steel number 316 is used for the pump production, which allows the pump to work in an acidic medium so it is not destroyed. Our department produces 2,500 pumps per year.
Нашего цеха является 2500 насосов в год.
The enterprise was started as a small service center selling imported pumps from abroad. The program for accelerated industrial and innovative development has radically changed the operation of the plant, says the CEO, who started this business from scratch and knows that without the support, nothing would have happened.
Но вот наши лицензиаты, скажем,
Before the implementation of the state program, such giants in the sphere as Sulzer ABB, the Danish company Grundfos, didn't pay attention to Kazakhstan as a country where it could be possible to implement industrial projects. It's all thanks to the activities of the state and the interaction between business and the state.
Казахстан как на страну, в которой возможно реализовать производственные проекты.
Now every piece of underground pump is made in this department. Final products are in great demand among mining companies, oil and gas sector, as well as those who are focused on water supply. Precisely, this plant supplies 20% of the domestic market with pumps.
Энергетикаға тоқталып өтетін болсақ, Kazatomprom компаниясы.
Today we work with Kazatomprom, the national company on the energy sector, also with Gazvodhoz, Vodokanal on water and housing. We provide them with domestic groundwater pumps. There is a high demand for them. Manufacturers offer a 5-year warranty for domestic goods. This spring, the plant will be expanded. It will produce more powerful pumps and metal products, and that is 80 new jobs.
10 Kazakh universities will introduce new master's programs on September 1st. The programs will target to train specialists with technical skills amid the accelerated industrialization process. According to the recent studies conducted as part of the state program on accelerated industrial and innovative development, Kazakhstan needs nearly 3,000 highly qualified specialists. 10 billion tenge were allocated to modernize the labs and research base of the universities, and 950 million tenge were used for the development of the new training programs.
The new curriculum and special laboratories are being prepared for these training programs. The universities are introducing the following programs: space equipment and technology and production of building materials programs by the Eurasian National University, food industry program by the Agro-Technical University, industrial chemistry and information technologies of space monitoring systems program in the Al-Farabi Kazakh National University.
Пищевая промышленность, Казахский национальный университет имени Аль-Фараби.
The Bolshak program will also contribute to the training of staff needed for the industrialization and diversification of the country's economy. The range of majors offered for taking will be expanded. New majors will include aerospace monitoring, analytical chemistry, and others. Nearly 600 Bolshak scholarships are planned to be allocated this year. How to start a new business, how to run a company or market a new product. Answers to these and other business-related questions can be found at the School of Young Entrepreneurs, which has opened in Atyrau. Despite the fact that it has been operating for 6 months only, the school already prides itself with successful graduates.
Нам достаточно просто улыбнуться. Когда человек вам улыбается, уже отношение дружественное к нему. Согласны?
One of the basic training sessions of the new entrepreneurs dedicated to the art of communication, future entrepreneurs are taught self-presentation, the basics of leadership, and teamwork skills. The main purpose of these training sessions is to teach people not to be afraid of difficulties, to reach their potential, and to choose a niche in the business which will bring financial success and pleasure.
Это 100% возможно.
It is 100% possible. Today, more than ever, we have all the conditions for this in our country now. There are grants and loans and private investors who are willing to give money and help the youth. We also try to help young people as much as we can. We provide the new entrepreneurs with offices, give advertising and social ties that we have and that we are ready to share actively. That is now, all one needs is the will, given that there is no competition, especially in Atyrau. Alexander is one of the experienced entrepreneurs. He's 30 years old, but already tried himself in several fields, opened a business in the field of communications, and produced furniture. Now he masters the new business with the help of School of Young Entrepreneurs. Now Alexander is an inspiring restaurateur. He opened a small restaurant specializing in Korean cuisine with a personnel of 10 people and 500 visitors per month, most of which are regular customers.
Если ты не обучаешься, что-то нового не узнаешь, остаешься.
If you do not learn something new and stay on the same level, you lose your competitiveness. Therefore, you should always learn, strive for something, motivate yourself, and motivate your team. The state gives us opportunities. Business coaches are also available for us. So all we need is the will.
Такой климат создало. Открывайся, не хочу. Ну, желание, возможность есть. Тренеры есть, все есть.
During the first 6 months, training sessions were delivered to over 1,000 people. 90% of them were trained free of charge. If the number of the first students barely reached 20 or 30 people, now each training session gathers more than 100 regular listeners. 6 months of work accounts 10 stable working subjects. Until the end of this year, these figures will increase by several times.
Made in Kazakhstan campaign aimed at promoting the domestic producers is well underway. The next story is about a meat-producing and meat-packing company from Petropavlovsk called Frigate. The products of the company can be found in any of the local stores.
Like any other housewife, Kristina tries to buy only fresh and natural products for her family. Therefore, from various products, she chooses goods made in Kazakhstan.
Колбаса Фрегат мне нравится, потому что она очень...
I like Frigate sausages because, unlike other sausages, it tastes like homemade meat. My husband and I really like them. Secondly, the domestic producer always delivers good quality products with the best taste, and there is no need to worry about your health.
Лучший вкус, и как бы можно не переживать за свое здоровье.
Branded sausages are cooked here in the shops. The meat processing complex Frigate has been on the market for 18 years.
Ежедневно на этом предприятии
2,500 tons of meat are processed and 80 different kinds of sausages, semi-finished products and smoked products are produced every day. The peculiarity of this company is that only local raw materials are used here. Meat is thoroughly tested in a laboratory and only then sent for recycling. We proceed from the fact that we have our own good raw materials, therefore we make our Kazakhstan sausage. Also, the extension dates of our domestic sausage is much less than of other sausages because we do not use preservatives. The company employs 65 people. The plant was modernized at company's own expense. The equipment was installed from the leading European brands. Taking into account the local market, we invited technologists from Austria and Moscow. We have learned from their experience to release our own products as well as the recipes from which they showed us and flavoring aromatics, which is used today. We try to satisfy the needs of each customer. More than 20 sausage shops work only in the North Kazakhstan region, and they all try to make their products even better and tastier. But the last word rests with the consumers, who are increasingly choosing the domestically produced goods.
The campaign on promotion of domestic producers has taken a nationwide scale. More than 24 large supermarkets of Atyrau have introduced special shelves featuring consumer goods made in Kazakhstan. Local buyers were pleasantly surprised to find out that the prices for some of the domestic products, including dairy and poultry, have gone down. Soon the special shelves labeled Made in Kazakhstan will appear in 20 more supermarkets of the city and regional centers.
Why do we have to buy products manufactured in Kazakhstan? Because it is an act of patriotism. Because every tenge spent on our products implies taxes and new jobs. This is salary. By buying goods made in Kazakhstan, we support the domestic manufacturers and the economy as a whole.
Kazakh, Canadian, Kazakhstan, the ideas and historical ties. The scientists from Kazakhstan, Turkey, Uzbekistan, and Kyrgyzstan discussed this topic in Almaty. Experts, Turkologists, and historians presented the findings of their research. One of them was the book of an academician, Rabiga Sizdikova. Jamiat Tawarikh is the monograph of the study of the famous collection of histories written in the 16th century by the scholar and diplomat Kadir Gali Jalayiri. The book offers the reader the beauty of the language of the medieval author, who is considered by the linguist as the founder of the Kazakh written literary language.
550th anniversary of the Kazakh Khanate, which is celebrated this year, that was proposed by the President of Kazakhstan, Nursultan Nazarbayev, is an important event for the whole Turkic world, as it is a part of our common history and we should promote it internationally. This is not our first joint project today. We just summed up the work on the Cultural Heritage Program.
The Cultural Heritage Program has become a strategic project for the revival of the national culture and literature. For example, the archaeological excavations in the ancient cities that account for more than 100 sites only along the Silk Road have enriched the historical treasury with new artifacts.
Встает вопрос, кто жил в этих городах? Жили вот тот народ, который...
The question is, who lived in these cities? The generation that lived for centuries on the territory of South Kazakhstan were the ancestors of today's nation, known as Kazakhs. And Kazakhs were residents of the Kazakh Khanate's cities, though the cities were multinational. Other people also lived there, the Iranians, Sarts, Kalmyks, but Kazakhs gradually became the majority population in the cities. This fact is backed by convincing evidence. In short, the Cultural Heritage Program has allowed us to better learn the history of the Kazakh cities and most of the Kazakh Khanate.
Глубже узнать историю казахских городов.
The most valuable artifacts of Karaganda museums are exhibited in Astana. The National Museum is hosting an exhibition dedicated to the 550th anniversary of the Kazakh Khanate. 600 exhibits reveal the history of the Kazakh people and the most vivid images of the Kazakh steppe, portraits of Kazakh Khans, photos of medieval fortifications and mausoleums are displayed here. Special attention was paid to the unique findings discovered in the burial Talditu in Karaganda region, a Saka warrior in ceremonial attire dating back to the early Iron Age. The exhibition also reveals a section about famous Koyanza fair. In 1848, it was a lively center of trade located at the foot of the mountains Karkarale. Everyday household goods of the time are also presented: irons, samovars, copper kettles, and many more. The exhibition will be open until the 27th of April.
Очень интересны средневековые украшения.
There are very interesting medieval decorations of the central Kazakhstan. Kazakh ethnography costume tools are presented very well. The central Kazakhstan, in relation to archaeological sites, is a very interesting region. The region is very rich in monuments of the Bronze Age, monuments of early nomads, that is the era of Sacs. They convey the image of a society and culture of that era.
This was the overview of the major news from Kazakhstan for the past week. Goodbye.